New radar satellite images show the September 3rd nuclear test by North Korea was powerful enough to sink a roughly 85-acre area on the peak of a mountain above the tunnels where the test likely took place. Synthetic aperture radar satellite images captured before and after September 3rd showed significant changes at Mount Mantap's peak elevation, wrote Jeffrey Lewis, head of the East Asia program at the James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies in California. He added, before the test, Mount Mantap was 2,205 meters high. The mountain has since diminished in height. Original estimates of the North Korean nuke had put its yield in the 100 kiloton range, but updated seismic data, analyzed by experts this week, put it closer to a whopping 250 kilotons, or nearly 17 times more powerful than the bomb that flattened Hiroshima. The test has resulted in South Korean move in enhancing its military capability to deal with North Korean threat. In this video, Defense Updates looks at 5 steps taken by South Korea to counter North Korea. Let's get started.
Number 5.
Daniel A. Pinkston, a defense expert at the Seoul campus of Troy University, said, "Intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities are crucial. Without these capabilities, they would be shooting blind because the missile units could not identify the targets." Keeping this aspect in consideration, South Korea said it would launch 5 spy satellites into orbit from 2021 to 2023 to better monitor weapons movements in North Korea. In the interim, it's talking with countries like France and Israel to lease spy satellites. It also plans to introduce 4 American RQ-4 Global Hawk surveillance drones by next year. South Korea aims to detect impending missile attacks from North Korea and launch preemptive strikes so that the missiles are destroyed on the ground.
Number 4.
In the late 1960s, after North Korean commandos tried to ransack the presidential palace in Seoul, South Korea secretly trained misfits plucked from prison or off the streets to sneak into North Korea and slit the throat of its leader, Kim Il-sung. When the mission was aborted, the men mutinied. They killed their trainers and fought their way into Seoul before blowing themselves up, an episode the government concealed for decades. Now, as Mr. Kim's grandson, Kim Jong-un, accelerates his nuclear missile program, South Korea is again targeting the North's leadership. The South Korean military has announced it's creating an assassination unit called the Spartan 3000 to carry out night raids in North Korea. North Korean Defense Minister Song Young-moo told lawmakers of the government's intention to build the Decapitation unit on September 4th, the day after the recent nuclear test. The administration wants the team ready by the end of the year. Defense officials said the unit could conduct cross-border raids with retooled helicopters and transport planes that could penetrate North Korea at night.
Number 3.
After the North's latest nuclear test, South Korea fired its Hyungmoo-2 short-range ballistic missiles in a drill simulating an attack on the North's test site. South Korea is also buying 260 Taurus missiles from a German and Swedish joint venture. The weapons are part of the Korea Massive Punishment and Retaliation Plan. Under that program, South Korea would try to divide Pyongyang into several districts and wipe out the area where Kim Jong-un is believed to be hiding, defense analysts said. The United States helped South Korea build its first ballistic missiles in the 1970s, but in return imposed restrictions to try to prevent a regional arms race. The restrictions barred South Korea from attaching a payload weighing more than a half-ton to its Hyungmoo missile when the rocket had a range of up to 497 miles. President Trump has now agreed to lift payload limits, allowing South Korea to build more powerful ballistic missiles. Washington's decision to lift the missile payload limits will allow South Korea to develop new Hyungmu missiles with more potent warhead capabilities of destroying weapon sites and North Koreans' leadership safe houses built in deep underground bunkers.
Number 2.
South Korea is planning to upgrade its US-made Patriot PAC-2 interceptor missiles for a better low-altitude defense. South Korea has also changed course to allow deployment of a full THAAD anti-missile battery south of Seoul to counter the growing threat from North Korea. Earlier, South Korean President Mr. Moon had held up placement of a full battery of 6 THAAD launchers after 2 launchers were installed. For additional protection, South Korea is developing its own long-range surface-to-air missile, LSAM, intercept missiles, as well as installing more early warning radars for ballistic missiles. South Korean LSAM interceptor missile, along with the U.S. Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, will create a multi-layer defense that would enhance defense against incoming missile. LSAM interceptor is aimed to intercept missiles at an altitude of 50 to 60 kilometers. US-made THAAD system is capable of intercepting incoming ballistic missiles at 40 to 150 kilometers, hence the two systems will complement each other. The military planned to develop its indigenous interceptor missile by 2022. It's expected to take some 7 years to develop the LSAM system, and it will be deployed between 2023 and 2024.
Number 1.
South Korean Mr. Moon has vowed to expand the defense budget to 2.9% of South Korea's gross domestic product during his term from 2.4%, or $35.4 billion as of this year. For next year, his government has proposed a budget of $38.1 billion, nearly $12 billion of it for weapons to defend against North Korea. A top South Korean official just floated the idea of having Washington return nuclear weapons to the Korean Peninsula. South Korean Defense Minister Song Young-moo noted he talked to U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis about placing American nuclear weapons in the country for the first time in over 25 years. He also said South Korea wants strategic assets like U.S. aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, and B-52 bombers to deploy to the peninsula more frequently, though not to be permanently housed there. The idea of sending American nuclear weapons to South Korea is now out there, and it's not so far-fetched. The U.S. had around 100 nuclear weapons in the country until September 27, 1991, when President George H.W. Bush announced he wanted to take them out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.